Welcome back, Excel Chicks. Super excited for this tutorial. In this video, I will show you exactly how to go from this to this, and then finally including this. That's right, folks. I will show you how to pull in your portfolio data into Excel, including the Federal Thrift Savings Plan, or TSP. I will show you how to pull that in as well. The final product is available in the description, so please download and customize with your tickers. And with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. My recommendation is to follow along with the tutorial using the working file that is in the description, because there are some prerequisites. So let me just show you the prerequisites I have set up here. So first, I have my tickers and shares. So these are the tickers for the individual stocks or mutual funds that you have in your account that you want to keep track of. In this case, I've already imported these and populated this. So this is all of the tickers that I want to look at, the breakdown of account, the holder between him and her, the type, and then obviously the shares. You get the ticker and the shares from your brokerage statements. Usually you can just log in. So you'll probably have a couple or maybe just one. You can see in this example, we have, I think, 3. So I'm going to copy columns A, B, C, and D. I'm going to copy all the way down to row 30. And the reason I'm not copying anything past row 30 is because after row 30, starting in row 32, I have the TSP, or Thrift Savings Plan, information, which is not going to pull back from the method that I'm showing you first. We have a different solution for that, and then it will be incorporated. So let's copy this, go over to data. I'm going to paste this in B. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our rows that have our tickers, and that is row 2 through 30, and go to data. And under data types, just click on stocks. And then I'm going to expand that so you can see it's given the stock description. But what also is available is this little pop-up that says insert data. So what we'll see is we're going to have a lot of data that we can insert. The first thing I'm going to insert is I'm going to insert my ticker symbol. And my ticker is going to pop here in F. I don't want it there, so I'm going to drag it to column A. So let's name this ticker. Then we're going to come back over here to this description and select 2 through 30, and then click on this little icon, and we're going to insert some data. So let's add previous close. Let's add price, and that's it for now. So you can see that it's automatically added this information. I'm just going to expand this type a little bit, and then let's add our headings. Let's close, price. Oh, I'll change that to current price. Expand this a little bit. So in column H, we're going to add our shares. So go back to the tickers and shares tab. And we're just going to select E1 through E30 and right click and copy. Pop back over to data and right click and paste that information in there. And here's where we can do a quick calculation to get our total amount here. And that's just taking our shares by current price. And we'll use that autofill handler to drag it down. And there we go. So first thing first that we see is we have some errors here. And the errors we have to do with the money market funds. So money market funds don't have a current price. We're going to handle this error with an if error function. And what this if error function is saying, if it's an error, if it's not an error, give me price. If it's an error, give me 1. I'm going to do my in parens, click enter, and then I'm going to just double click to drag that down. And we can see it's now fixed our money market, and that's pretty much future proof. If we have this issue, it will give us 1 for money market. So we've got our total shares. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to add our category and our subcategory, and that is going to be handled with a VLOOKUP. So in this category lookup, we already have our ticker and our category and our subcategory that we want to pull back through. So I'm just going to add category here, subcategory, hit enter. I'm gonna pop that out a little bit. And we're just gonna do a quick VLOOKUP. And I'm gonna look up via my ticker and go to my category lookup. I'm going to select my table array. And remember, the column we want to pull back is category. So we're going to go to, for our column index number, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. We want 2, so enter 2. And then we do not want an approximate match. We are exact folks over here when it comes to our finances. So we're going to hit 0, which is false, to get us our exact match. And so we've got our category, and let's go ahead and quickly do subcategory while we are at it. And so let's just do another VLOOKUP. And we're just getting a lot of practice here with our VLOOKUP. So let's go back to our category lookup, select that. And then this time, remember, we're looking for column 3 and we want an exact match, 0. There we go. We have our category and our subcategory. Select those both and use our autofill handler to just double click and it'll bring that down. So far, we have most of our portfolio information, but we still have the thrift savings plan that we need to enter, or TSP. So we are going to get that data using a web data source. So before I get into that, I'm going to select cell B2 and I'm going to go to View, and I'm going to go to Freeze Panes so I can scroll and still see information. So we need to add the TSP information. So let's click on tickers and shares. Let's go down to this fund CSI. We're just going to copy that. I'm going to paste values, and I'm going to change this to C fund, S fund, I fund, and you'll see why I did that in a little bit. So let's go back to our tickers and shares, and we'll pop over and we'll grab these columns and bring that back over to data. Paste those values and then go back, and let's just quickly get our shares. So now we have our funds listed, and now we need to pull in the data using a web link. And we're going to go to Data, From Web, and in the URL, we're going to paste that web address. Click OK. And you'll see it brings up this navigator window, and we can look at each of the tables, but we want to bring in table 1. All right, so we're going to take this table and I'm going to bring it to the last, and I'm going to rename it to TSP Fund Info. All right, so now we have the TSP Fund Info loaded. We're going to need to bring that information in. So the first thing I'm going to do is, for the description, I'm going to combine cell A31. I'm going to add a space, and then I'm going to pop back over to this TSP Fund Info, and I'm going to select column A2. And I'm going to actually make that an absolute reference because I'm going to drag this down. So by pulling in that date, we will know if we need to refresh our data. All right, so we don't have previous close information, but we do have current price. So what we're going to do in this case is we're going to do, instead of a VLOOKUP, we're going to do an HLOOKUP, or a horizontal lookup. So let's go ahead and do that together. Let's go HLOOKUP. My lookup value is this C fund. We're going to go to our table array, and my table array is going to just be these 2 columns. And then my my row index number is going to be 2. And again, we do not want an approximate match. We want a exact match, and use those in parens, and it brings the value down. I'm going to do an absolute reference here. And then I can bring that down. All right, so now we have our current price for those funds, and we have our total, and now we can bring in our category by just dragging this down, but we get these NAs. And the reason we get those NAs is, let's go back to our category lookup, and we need to change this to fund fund. And then let's go back to our data. And there we go. We have all of our categories. We have everything we need now to start working on our summary and visualizations. We've got all of our data entered, and now it's time to pop over to our summary tab and get our data ready to feed our visualization. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get type. And to get type, we do want to have our unique values. So we're going to use the unique function. I'm going to come over to data and I'm going to go to my type folder. I'm just going to drag my cursor down and select the range that I want unique values for. So now we want to have dollar amounts, and then we're going to do percentage of total. So to get our dollar amounts, we're going to do a sum if, and our range is going to be type. Our criteria is Roth IRA, and our sum range is I. And add that in paren, and we'll just drag that formula down, and we'll see that it populates. So to get percentage of total, we're going to do a quick formula. We're going to divide the cell we want the percentage from, and we're going to divide that with the total here, and absolute reference that so we can drag the formula. All right, and there we go. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the holder. So I already know that there's only two values, and it's her and him. We're going to do our sum if. Our range, again, is holder. Our criteria is her, and our sum range is I. I'll drag that down to a quick percent of total. So I'm just going to do the absolute reference, the row. Right now we're going to do account. So let's go ahead and do that unique function. We'll go back up to account and select our range. And there we go. Let's do our sum if. Criteria, our sum range. Let's do our percent of total. Absolute reference that so we can drag it. There we go. So now we're going to do our ticker. Let's just do that unique function again, my new favorite function. We'll drag that down. And we're going to do our sum if. And then we'll do our percent of total. Right now we're going to get our category. All right, we've got all of our category. We're going to do sum if. Percent of total. We want to break it out by category, but also by holder. So to get that, we're going to use a helper field, and I'll show you how we're going to do this. So I'm going to create a helper column. All I'm going to do is I'm going to combine two fields. I'm going to select cell J2, and I'm going to click the ampersand or and sign, and then I'll select holder. Just hit enter and bring that down using the autofill handler, and we'll call this our helper column. All right, so we'll go back to our summary. Now we're going to use sum if with our helper column. So we're going to do sum if, and our range, what is our range? Our range is going to be our helper. And now we're going to have to enter our criteria. So our criteria is summary M2, so US stocks. But since we concatenate it, we're going to say and him. And we want to absolute reference our row and absolute reference our column for a category. And now add a comma and select our sum range, which is I. Before we hit enter, remember our helper is always going to be in column L, so we're going to absolute reference that. And our total is always going to be in column I, so we're going to absolute reference that as well. Hit enter, and we'll drag that down. And now let's drag this over to get her. All right, let's just quickly get our percent of total. We're going to absolute reference our rows. We're going to drag this down and then bring this over. All right, so we have our type, our holder, account, ticker, category by him and her. So now let's pop over to our visuals and see what those are looking like. All right, so our visuals, because we populated everything in summary correctly in the right space, our visuals are automatically updated. And if we wanted to create a PDF from this, we can go File, Save As, and then just drop down and select PDF. And there you go. We now have our investment data from our stocks and our mutual funds, as well as our thrift savings plan in this handy data visualization. If you made it this far into the video, I thank you so much for watching, and I do hope that you learned something from this and had a little bit of fun doing so. Please like and subscribe, and until next time.